All right, so Donald Trump has decided to spark a trade war with Canada and Mexico because I don't believe China has retaliated yet. But Trump has decided to put tariffs on Canadian and Mexican products of 25% and 10% on China. And his reasoning is rather flimsy. But let's get to the article. Let me just. Alright. That's not what I wanted. U.S. President Donald Trump signed an order to impose stiff tariffs on imports from Mexico, Canada, and China on Saturday, drawing swift retaliation and an undeniable sense of betrayal from the country's neighbors. The Republican president posted on social media that the tariffs were necessary to protect Americans, pressing the three nations to do more to curb the manufacture and export of illicit fentanyl and for Canada and Mexico to reduce illegal immigration into the U.S. I don't know, it keeps giving me the ick when they call him a Republican president because this guy ain't conservative. But anyway. And to protect Americans? Are you kidding me? He even admitted that Americans are going to pay higher prices. What are we protecting us from? You protecting us from the fact that you can't actually lower prices? I'm not sure. The tariffs, if sustained, could cause inflation to significantly worsen. No shit. Threaten the trust that many voters placed in Trump to lower the prices of groceries. Well, that was their first problem. Petrol, housing, vehicles, and other goods as he promised, which he has almost immediately said, yeah, I can't actually do that. They also risk throwing the global economy and Trump's political mandate into turmoil just 2 weeks into his second term. Okay. Now, global economy, absolutely. Political mandate, he didn't have one. He did not get a majority of voters. He got a plurality of voters, but not a majority. There is a difference. He did not get 50% of the vote. So, yeah, not a mandate. Trump declared an economic emergency in order to place duties of 10% on all imports from China and 25% on imports from Mexico and Canada. Energy imported from Canada, including oil, natural gas, and electricity, would be taxed at a 10% rate. Trump's orders includes a mechanism to escalate the rates charged by the U.S. against retaliation by other countries, raising the specter of even more economic disruption. All right. The actions taken today by the White House split us apart instead of bringing us together, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said in a somber tone as he announced his country would put matching 25% tariffs on up to 150 billion euros in U.S. imports, including alcohol and fruit. He channeled the betrayal that many Canadians are feeling, reminding Americans that Canadian troops fought alongside them in Afghanistan and helped respond to myriad crises from wildfires in California to Hurricane Katrina. Yes, Canada helped, Mexico helped, but Trump doesn't care about that shit. He doesn't care that they helped because he doesn't care about anyone but himself. So there's that. So the fact that you're trying to say, but we're allies with the U.S. We've helped you guys out. Doesn't care. We were always there standing with you, grieving with you, the American people, he said. Mexico's president also ordered retaliatory tariffs. We categorically reject the White House's slander that the Mexican government has alliances with criminal organizations. Because he's fucking racist. Of course he's going to say that. As well as any intention of meddling in our territory. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum wrote in a post on X. She said she had instructed her economy secretary to implement a response that included retaliatory tariffs and other measures in defense of Mexico's interests. The United States government and its agencies wanted to address the serious fentanyl consumption in their country. They could fight the sale of drugs on the streets of their major cities, which they don't do, and the laundering of money that this illegal activity generates that has done so much harm to its population. The Premier of the Canadian province of British Columbia, David Eby, specifically called on residents to stop buying liquor from the U.S. red states and said it was removing American alcohol brands from government stores' shelves as a response to the tariffs. And actually, I was reading that, things like whiskey from Kentucky. So when they're talking about red states, Canada understands our politics infinitely better than the U.S. understands basically anything about other countries. So they know who is hardcore MAGA, which states are actually MAGA, not those schmucks who thought that they could trust a proven liar. I mean, I don't know why anyone thought that they could trust a pathological liar unless they actually agree with his horribleness. But there you go. So they're going after those specifics. And let's face it, Tennessee whiskey, Kentucky bourbon, that is really big in those states. So, yeah, you're just screwing yourselves over. So yeah, they're going to have to stick with Irish whiskey, which is actually pretty good. So, there are options. It's not like they're going to have to go without whiskey. Bourbon is a different story, but if people are willing to go without bourbon, they're going to be willing to go without bourbon. Because this is not just imposing tariffs because of we're trying to enter a certain field and we want to ensure that we get a solid footing, so we're going to impose tariffs on certain industry. This is just Trump being petty. So yeah. Red states are in the fuck around and find out part. They're going to just realize just what a mistake they made. Or maybe not. Maybe they will just blame Canada and blame Mexico for their hardships, even though it was Trump who made the first salvo in this trade war. So that's always a possibility, that these people are so up Trump's ass that they can't understand how anything works. Like tariffs are paid by a foreign government instead of by its citizens. So they have an incentive not to have these products on the shelves because, well, why would they want to pay so much in taxes, and that's the importing company, pay so much in taxes when they could, pay less for something else. So this only hurts the US in so many ways. And also in the sense that Canada has placed retaliatory tariffs. So now, if you want to buy certain products that are Canadian, yeah, you're gonna. Now, these are attached to. So these are attached to specific products there. But here, it's Canadian products, Mexican products. There's no laser pointed specifics. So, any say you like tomatoes from Canada or you like avocados from Mexico, or tequila from Mexico, or you prefer Canadian maple syrup to maple syrup that's made in Vermont or Wisconsin. So, you're going to have to pay more. And I'm blanking on other things. I think we get some energy from Canada as well, oil and gas, so that'll go up because, people weren't complaining about the high price of gas in a while, so let's do that. So yeah, congratulations. You wanted to pay lower prices, you're getting higher prices now. All right. China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said the country's government firmly deplores and opposes this move and will take necessary countermeasures to defend its legitimate rights and interests. China began regulating fentanyl-related drugs as a class of controlled substances in 2019 and conducted counter-narcotics cooperation with the U.S., the ministry said, calling on the U.S. government to correct what it considers wrongful actions. The Ministry of Commerce in China said it would file a lawsuit with the World Trade Organization for the wrongful practices of the U.S. and take measures to safeguard its rights and interests. Meanwhile, Japan's finance minister voiced his concerns on Sunday. We're deeply concerned about how these tariffs could affect the world economy, Katsunobu Kato told Fuji TV. Now, that's another thing. Trump is whining about, oh, well, this is because you're not helping with this or that. The fact is they are helping. Just because there are people in the U.S. who are finding ways around this cooperation to stop the flow of fentanyl, stop illegal immigration. How is that the country's fault? But anyway, the tariffs will go into effect on Tuesday, setting up a showdown in North America that could potentially sabotage economic growth. A new analysis by the Budget Lab at Yale laid out the possible damage to the U.S. economy, saying the average household would lose the equivalent of 1,130 euros in income from the taxes. Economic growth would slow and inflation would worsen, and the situation could be even worse with retaliation from other countries. As we've seen already, countries are retaliating. Democrats were quick to warn that any inflation going forward was the result of Trump's actions. You're worried about grocery prices. Don's raising prices with his tariffs, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer of New York wrote in a series of posts on X. You're worried about tomato prices. Wait till Trump's Mexico tariffs raise your tomato prices, read another. You're worried about car prices. Wait till Trump's Canada tariffs raises your car prices, read another. A senior U.S. administration official, speaking on condition of anonymity to brief reporters, said the lower rate on energy reflected a desire to minimize disruptive increases on the price of gasoline or utilities. That's a sign White House officials understand the gamble they're taking on inflation. Price spikes under former President Joe Biden led to voter frustration that helped return Trump to the White House. All right. The order signed by Trump contained no mechanism for granting exceptions, the officials said, a possible blow to home builders who rely on Canadian lumber, as well as farmers, vehicle manufacturers, and other industries. And that's on top of, say, California farmers, where because Trump vomited something into existence on Truth Social about the taps have been turned on in California or some nonsense. So people in Northern California opened the dams to let some water out. Water that farmers rely on. So, yeah. So, this is just going to add to that. The officials did not provide specific benchmarks that could be met to lift the new tariffs, saying only that the best measure would be fewer Americans dying from fentanyl addiction. Which, again, okay, how is that the other country's fault? Even if they didn't do anything on the flow of fentanyl, people have to still fucking take it. You know, there has to be drug dealers offering this. And the thing is that they are helping. It's not like, and the fact that there's no benchmark says that this is a bullshit excuse. That this was never the reason. They just wanted to impose tariffs because they wanted to be tough. And they thought that they could bully other countries into just doing whatever Trump thinks in his warped brain that they need to do to stop something or other from happening. So, yeah. The order would also allow for tariffs on Canadian imports of less than 770 euros. Imports below that sum are currently able to cross into the United States without customs and duties. It doesn't make much economic sense, says William Reinsch, senior advisor at the Center for Strategic and International Studies and a former U.S. trade official. What has Trump done so far that makes any sense in any way, ever? Historically, most of our tariffs on raw materials have been low because we want to get cheaper materials so our manufacturers will be competitive. Now, what is he talking about? He's talking about tariffs on raw materials. I don't get the economics of it because there's no economics to it. Trump just wants to appear tough. Why other people are poisoning his brain with this shit, I do not know, but Trump just wants to appear tough. So, with the tariffs, Trump is honoring promises that are at the core of his economic and national security philosophy. But the announcement showed his seriousness around the issue, as some Trump allies had played down the threat of higher import taxes as mere negotiating tactics. Translation, they understand that people are gonna be pissed. The president is preparing more import taxes in a sign that tariffs will be an ongoing part of his second term. On Friday, he mentioned imported computer chips, steel, oil, and natural gas, as well as copper, pharmaceutical drugs, and imports from the European Union. Moves that could essentially pit the U.S. against much of the global economy. Someone asked with an LOL, if Trump is preparing tariffs for Europe. Yeah, looks like he is. Trudeau warned of economic pain as the tariffs take effect and encouraged Canadians to choose Canadian products and services rather than American ones. But he also voiced optimism about the enduring relationship between the two countries. It is going to have real consequences for people, for workers on both sides of our border. We don't want to be here. We didn't ask for this, but we will not back down in standing up both for Canadians and the incredibly successful relationship between Canada and the United States, Trudeau said. So that is the end of that article, and God only knows what's going to happen at this point. But a lot of these people who voted for Trump and are Trump allies are also isolationist. But I don't think they understand how intertwined the global economy is. I wonder if they truly understand how much damage this is going to cause. Great, buy American. That's a great idea in some, maybe even most cases. But not everything is made in America for whatever reason. So I just don't see how even isolationists won't realize at some point that, oh, that's not the way the world works anymore. So yeah, we kind of have to open ourselves up. Because it's great to want to be proud of the country and want to encourage people to buy American products the way Trudeau is encouraging people to buy Canadian products. But let's face it, people want choice. And there are a lot of choices that Americans currently have. And let's face it, we have a lot of choices. I mean, in all sorts of products. How many of those products that we have choice in now come from somewhere else and are going to be out of reach for people because of the tariffs? Because remember, even if, say, you're buying a canned good and even a little bit of that process was created in another country that has tariffs, that could raise prices. So it's not just about looking at an item and saying, oh, product of USA. It's safe. It's fine because, it's American product. There could be something within that product that is under tariffs because it's made in a different country. So that's going to increase prices. Not to mention, if supply goes down and demand is up, that's going to raise prices too. All you have to do is look at the egg situation. Now, granted, in the egg situation, that's because of the bird flu. But if you're culling all these chickens because of bird flu, obviously they're going to be laying fewer eggs. So that's going to raise prices because people want eggs. It's the same thing here. Even if America is the only supplier of any of your products, if everybody is stuck buying a certain product and the manufacturer hasn't increased production, that price is going to go up because the demand went up, but the supply is still low. So I just do not see how isolationists think that they're actually winning at anything. So yeah. Anyway, I just cannot wait till Trump has already pushed us out of the World Health Organization. It's only a matter of time before he pulls us out of the WTO and we'll have nobody to trade with. Because that's how his mind works, I guess. I believe that is all I have for this video. So, yeah, this is something that Elon had already said, that there will be pain for Americans while they work on government to be more efficient by slashing like 2 trillion or whatever number he pulled out of his ass as to how much cuts we need. So I guess this is what he meant, that everything is going to go up because Trump wants to wage war on everybody. What, because he had bone spurs and couldn't actually wage a physical war? He wants to wage an economic war on everybody? I do not understand this. I understand that the isolationists think that this will force Americans to buy more American products and that'll make America great or something. But I don't think they like I said before, I don't think they understand just how intertwined the global economy is. And it's not just like you can shut off a spigot and we'll be fine. Ask the UK how that worked out for them when they pulled out of the EU. They had all sorts of problems. But I believe that is all I have for this video. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one.